Hello everybody. So today you are going to listen a lecture on the environment and literature, or to say the environmentalism, right? So the environmental history emerged in the United States as a result of environmental movement of the 1960s and 1970s. Much of it stems from the present day global environment. So the environmental studies can also be said as multidisciplinary subject because it draws both the humanities and natural science. So literature from centuries has dealt with environmental issues in different forms. Environmentalism is a theory that analyzes the text that has dealt or illustrated the environmental concerns and examines the various ways the literature treats the subject of nature. So here students, what we will see is two things mainly we'll be seeing. Number one, which is very common, which you already know, the environmental concern, the global issue. Okay, today the environment is terribly polluted, the land, the air, the water, everything is polluted, and this pollution is affecting our day-to-day life, and it is going to endanger the next generation too. Right, so therefore it has to be addressed, and things have to be mended, and therefore many awareness and camps and many things have been done. And here, what is the role of literature? So that is what we will see in this lecture. See, in literature, we will see literature in two ways. Number one, in environmentalism, in this theory, what they do is they analyze the text, okay, that has dealt or illustrated the environmental concerns. Okay, since ages people have taken this as a subject, and these scholars, they investigate, they go into the depth of the text, and they find out how they have treated the subject nature. Apart from that, today, why do we say that environmental studies is a multidisciplinary? Because there is an interconnection between science and humanities. In what way? See, science, it presents an issue as facts and figures, but literature, it takes the same issue, but the way it presents is different, because literature has aesthetical sense. Now what does this do? This connect us, okay, emotionally to the problem, to the subject, right? So here you can see, and what the scholar believe is, it is through, right, apart from the camps and all the other things, literature seems to be a powerful weapon where it can reach the people's heart directly, it can touch them, and it can put them into action. So that is the power that literature carries. Okay, that's why today the world has turned towards literature, because of its aesthetical sense. So let us see something about the aesthetical sense. So the aesthetical appreciation, okay, literature approaches nature in aesthetical appreciation of land. Literature shows very strong aesthetical approach in the representation of nature, land and animal. Okay, as I told you, same thing if you see, okay, about land, nature, animal, anything like that. In science, they would say the facts, the figure, the kind of climate that it survives, and how many are there in number, how many have extincted, all those facts. But what about literature? It doesn't deal that way. It deals in a very aesthetical way, right? It presents nature either picturesque or sublime, right? Picturesque in a sense, when you read, you can imagine, or the picture comes in front of your eyes. And sublime, the same nature is present, but here it is present in in more powerful way, right? Very terrifying sometimes. So all the world literature has taken and dealt with nature in various perspectives, and we all know, however, many have dealt with the subject nature, but the celebrated age, okay, noted for nature as theme, is the Romantic age. And you can see in Romantic age, as it is known as a Romantic era, because it was an artistic, literary, musical and intellectual movement. So when we go to literature, it is not just the aesthetical sense that I am speaking. It has intellectual, it has the reasoning capacity, the logical element is present there, but the way it presents, it is It's very aesthetic, right? It's very beautiful, it's very musical, artistic way they present to say romanticism focused upon imagination, fantasy, nature and simplicity, right? It could be understood even by a layman, right? That is the power of literature. Okay, so even in a romantic age is also called back to nature. Now why did they had such kind of meaning to it? Because it was a time when just the age before, you can see factories were started increasing, people started to deforest. Okay, they were started cutting the trees, and the lands were turned into factories, and people start forgetting the importance of nature, its contribution. And therefore these writers, okay, who come from a very rich environmental background, right? They have a very good they come from a place where it is of streams, okay, in woods, right? And it is very the natural resources, okay, is very great, right? And they come from such a background, and therefore they feared that this would really bring it would create a chaos, okay, havoc to the present and coming generation. So therefore they wanted to bring people, okay, to so that they realize, they understand the importance of nature and our responsibility to guard it, right? And the leading writers, are Wordsworth, okay, then Coleridge, and you have this Shelley, right? You have Keats and many others. So now I would like to read few poetry lines, okay, so that you can feel the power of the aesthetic sense in these poems, right? Let me read the poem from Tintern Abbey by Wordsworth. See, 5 years have passed, 5 summers, with the length of 5 long winters. These waters rolling from the mountain spring, with the soft inland murmur. Once again, do behold these steep lofty cliffs. So here you can see a nostalgic element introduced by Wordsworth. Okay, he thinks about his he draws on his childhood memories, right? And the word he uses here, he beautifully picturizes the water rolling from mountains, right? The musical sense that you can feel, the soft inland murmur. So see how they present nature. Similarly, when you see Shelley's Ode to Skylark, okay, a small common bird, but the way Shelley writes about skylark, it really makes us to feel skylark is not just a bird, it is something divine, okay, because he associates skylark as the spirit of joy, right? He says, if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy we ever should come near. See, human being is envious of the joy of a bird, right? See how. So it's very beautifully presented. Similarly, Robert Frost, an American poet, stopping by woods on a snowy evening, is a very good example of this, this picturesque or the aesthetic sense. So beautifully you can feel, okay, in this poem. And when we go for sublime, as I told you, it is more powerful. Take for the 20th century writer Alfred Tennyson, the Victorian poet Alfred Tennyson, in his poem The Eagle. See, so powerfully he presents here. He clasped the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls, dies down like thunderbolt. See the word he used, wrinkled sea, thunderbolt, crooked hand, clasp. So a very powerful description of the bird. So this is an example of sublime. So in many ways, literature takes the subject nature. So as a conclusion, I would like to say that you don't wonder that whether it is only the European literature have dealt with this topic or this theme, nature. No, many, even Indian literature have dealt with it. Take for R.K. Narayan's work in his Malgudi, his fictional village, you can see the reference of the bank Saryu then and there, right? And everything, all his, the setting is in and around that river, okay, the Mempi forest. Similarly, you can see in Rabindranath poem, okay, the lotus bloom. So literature, literature about the environment takes many forms, from fiction to non-fiction to poetry, reinforcing the interconnectedness between living beings and their environment, right, student? So this is the importance of environment and literature. Thank you.